All right, so good evening again, everyone. We are now doing a very basic topic. Oh, you know what we did not do? Before I could do vectors, I need to spend some time looking at statistics. All right, so after matrices, I must do statistics with you. Must. I must cover the topics in the first 8 questions. Once you could do the first 8 questions, you are okay. All right. So um I must cover the first 8 questions with you. All right. So good evening again, everyone on YouTube. We are looking at some coordinate geometry this evening. Now, coordinate geometry looks at the information on a straight line. So all the information we could get. Now we were looking at a curve. Now we're going to get information on a straight line. Now, for the curve, our general formula for the curve was ax squared. This is for the curve. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, A told me if A is positive, the curve always turn down. If A is negative, the curve will turn up. So for homework, I will give you a question where the curve turns up. All right. Now, where the curve cuts the y-axis, that's C. Where the curve cuts the y-axis, that is called C. Now, it's the same thing so this was for curve, but what about a straight line? Now, for a straight line, where the line cuts the y-axis is still C. And we're going to look at that shortly. And we're also going to look at when it cuts the x-axis. But when it cuts the y-axis, that's quite interesting. All right. So the general equation for a straight line, you're taking this down. The general equation for a straight line, well, a line should be straight, is y equals to mx plus c, where m represents the gradient of the line. And so m is the gradient. So what does this define? M represents the gradient of the line. Or the slope of the line. Now teachers would just say slope, but people never explained to me what that meant. Slope or gradient means how much is the line slanted? So here you have a steep slope or gradient. And here you have a slight slope or gradient. Is that okay, people? I'm just explaining the word because maths is not as abstract as you think it is. So when we talk about gradient or the slope of the line, it tells you um, how steep a line is. Now, I have a question to someone. Look at the gradient of a horizontal line. What would that gradient be equal to? So I'm going to ask someone who did coordinate geometry before, who, Udiah, what's the gradient when of a horizontal line? I've put you on the spot, Udiah. What do you think the gradient of a horizontal line is?
0.
0. That's correct. So the gradient is 0. Why? Because gradient tells me how steep a line is. All right. So this tells me how steep the line is. It's very steep going up a hill, this hill. This is Lady Chancellor Road. Or here it is just slight. All right. So M at this point is equal to 0 because it's flat. It's not steep at all. Is that okay, everybody? Now, look at this. Let me show you this. If M is 0 for a flat line, I want you to remember this. This line has a positive gradient, but lines that go the other direction has a negative gradient. So I use the y, I call it my y technique. All right, so here the gradient is positive. But here my gradient is negative. Anybody lost? So lines that are drawn this way, well, that could it's supposed to be, right? Negative gradient. Lines that are drawn the other way, the gradient is positive. So keep that in mind. Keep your y in mind. All right. And a flat line, the gradient is 0. All right. So let's move on. So we said the general equation, Shalome, of um a straight line is y equals to mx plus c, where m is the gradient. Now, what is c? What is c? Now, this is the easy part for this class, all right? What is c? So C represents the point where the line cuts the y-axis. It is also called the y-intercept. And y-intercept just simply mean it cuts the y-axis. Is that okay, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now, one last thing to note. M and C are therefore called constants. They don't change. M and C are called constants. They don't change. All right. M and C are called constants. They don't change. All right. So the gradient and C are called constants because they don't change along the line. Their value does not, I don't have space, change. The gradient M and y-intercept C are called constants because their value does not change along the line. I didn't have space to put along the line, but M will remain the same because it tells you the slope. I remember one year marking CXC, they asked, what does gradient mean? And it was simple, the slope. Gives, what does one word to describe what gradient mean? Slope. So this topic used to be the topic that CXC would ask me to mark. So every year in, year out, I mark coordinate geometry. All right. Everybody wrote this down. Could I move on? Deandra, can I move on? Deandra.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Jadon is back. Jadon, you took this down already? Jadon, are you there? People, if you all have to leave, please say so I know who is here and who is not here. All right, so let's go. Let's continue. Now, the gradient of a line has a formula to work on. The gradient of a line has a formula that we would have to use, and I wanna give the formula. And okay, somebody who did coordinate geometry before. Anybody remember what gradient? Okay, All right. To explain the formula, let's say you have a coordinate, a point on the graph. And let's call that point 6, 5, right? So 6 on the X, 5 on the Y, okay? And you have another coordinate. So you have two coordinates. So let's call this point A, and let's call another one B. And let's call it -3. Nah, let's change that to make it easy. Let's call it 1. Nah, let's call it 2. 2, 4. So 2 is my X value and my Y value. So let's call the first one, let's call this X1. And this is Y1. These are 0.1, 0.1. So if these are 1, we'll have to call these 0.2, 0.2. Yes, sir, hi. Ask a question.
So I could type what I think it is safe.
Oh, tell me. You wouldn't be, oh, you mean in the chat?
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me?
That's all. Let's tell anything wrong. I'll message it.
So if it's wrong, that no problem with that.
That's it. I'll message you. I'll message you.
It's Y2. Tell me. Y2 minus what?
Y1 over X2 minus X1.
Correct. All right, so the formula to find the gradient, M. So to do this, we must look at X2, which would represent this second point, which is 4, minus X1, which would be our first point, X2, 4 minus X1. Sorry, what am I saying? Sorry.
It's 6.
Yeah. Y2, which is 4, and Y1, which is 5. So we did the Y's first. All right, Y2 minus Y1. So this was Y2, and this was Y1. So now we're going to do X2, which is 2. So this would be X2, and this is X1. Four minus 5, and 2 minus 6. The negative signs cancel off. So M is equal to 1/4. Now, because this value is positive, I already know that on the graph, this line is going this way. All right, the line is going this way because it has a positive gradient. All right, so the line goes that way. Now, I can find my value for C. I can find my value for C by using the formula, and I'm going to show you that now. How can I find my value for C? So we know how to find gradient using that line. But if I have my equation, y equals to mx plus C. Now, because I know my gradient, which is a quarter, use any coordinate A or coordinate B. So, let me ask Naomi which one to use, coordinate A or B, anyone. I'm going to use the one you choosing. Which one, Naomi, should I use? Naomi? Naomi, your mic not working? She said A. So you're going to use A. So we're going to use the coordinates of A, which is y is 5. Notice I'm going to substitute. Remember we had m. M is a constant, so we could use it anytime. 1/4 times x would be from the coordinate. So from the coordinate, we had x as 6. And now we could find for C. All right, because it's 1/4 times 6. Let's do this in our working column. 1/4 times 6. 2 into 4, 2 into 6. So 5 is equal to 3/2 plus C. So to find for C, I must take the 3/2 to the other side. So now I have 5 minus 3/2. And that will be equal to my plus C. Or just C. It's just C. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to put this 5/1. Find the LCM, which is 2. 1 into 2, 2. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 into 2, 1. 1 times 3 is 3. So 10 minus 3 is 7/2. So we have our value for C. If I can simplify that, that will give me 3.5. 3 times 2 is 6 and 1 is 7. So C is equal to 3.5. So the equation of my line, anytime you are asked to write the equation of your line, all they are asking for is two things. The gradient, which is, we know the gradient, it's here, Shalome, and the the constant. So my equation of my line, and I'm going to write it in red. I'm going to write it in red. The equation of the line y equal, what was the gradient? X plus 3.5. Okay, I know this was a lot, but I'm just going to put 0.1. The first thing we did was find the gradient. The second thing we do, this is 0.1. The second thing we did was find for C, 0.2. And the third thing we did was to find the equation, 0.3. All right, so I gave you in steps. Point one, to find the gradient. Point two, to find the y-intercept. And point three was to find the equation of the line. So this is what we're going to do now, everybody. And you're going to send me a picture of it. It's now 1:45, so I'm going to take my time and I'm going to look at everybody's work. So let's say we have a coordinate, and our coordinate is, and we're going to go through the points together. So given given 2 points on a line, which are A, so the first part that we're going to do, there are 3 parts to this question. So part A, calculate. Calculate the gradient of the line. Go ahead, everybody. Go ahead. So what you can do, so everybody doing the same thing, call this X1, call this X2. It doesn't matter what you call it, Y2, X1. All right, so we're doing that. So go ahead, everybody. Find the gradient. Don't move ahead. The next one is the y-intercept C. Use your formula, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, and give me the formula. So for Kylon and Shalomi, remember m is equal to y2 All right, so let me pause the recording while. All right, so good evening again. I gave another question. I paused the recording. We found the gradient equal to 1, and we worked out what C was. All right, so C is -8. I hope that this is a question that I had paused the video on. So the equation of the line, write the equation of the line, write your equation of the line. So it will be y equals to m, which is 1, x, and it's -8. y equals to 1x minus 8, because the general equation of a line is y equals to mx plus c. M we calculated to be 1. All right. M we calculated to be 1 using M equals to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. All right, so this is our equation of the line. Our equation of the line would be y equals to 1x minus 8. All right, so here ends today's class. On Monday, next week, we're going to finish up this. I'm going to give you about 4 or 5 questions on this, and I'm going to give you 1 question to do, but this would be a minimum value. All right, so I'm going to write it out now to send it for you. These are the easier stuff. Coordinate geometry, very easy. Next week, Monday, we should finish coordinate geometry. Try to be present. So that's it for today, folks. You all were a very good class as usual.